I just wanted to paint, and by the end of the day I did paint quite a lot actually, but perhaps not really what I expected. I did my scaving of the last video, because I did not have quite the dwarves I wanted. Now my second hand luck has changed, and suddenly I had a ton of them. Well, not really a ton though, but because of their metallic nature, they're almost half a kilo. Or for you imperialists, it's an actual pound. I got a bit overwhelmed and did not really know where to start. So I listened to myself. Enjoy your hobby. If I want to paint, I will paint. So instead of picking up the dwarves, I picked this lady up. She's a witch, and the plan is to include her in an upcoming Witch Hunter warband. There is no real plan for this theme yet, except that I feel a strong urge to do something inspired by Valin Mattheis, which would also be a good opportunity to have a go at the Zorn palette. Perhaps something like the stuff Marco Frisoni does. After a quick base job and a basic primer, I eagerly jumped at her with some idea that she would be a witch, who obviously wear black, who has turned to the less evil side. Thus, she now wears a white tabard to separate her from the victim while out hunting witches, and conveniently offer a bright piece of cloth that can be dirtied down. But she did not turn out as expected. Is she grim? No. She actually looks rather pretty. I don't want that. I want someone who looks like she will keep you alive in her basement, as free organ donor for her experiments. This is not her. Is she dark? Well, kind of. Her main garment is a long black dress, but even after compensating for my lacking photography skills, she still does not really come across as particularly dark. I suppose it could be adjusted quite easily. A dark wash or two could probably do the trick. The grim part is harder. So I used Bing's chatbot to ask, what makes a picture grimdark? It was rambling on something about the background. Could that help? A grimdark background? I want to paint. I could paint a background. While I paint, I often watch videos in the Unsung Heroes of Illustration series by Pete Beard. I seem to recall things looking like landscapes being done in watercolor and ink, which is good because that is something I have access to. John Blanche can't even draw a straight line. How hard can it be? So I need some paints and something to paint on. I believe I need something thicker, like the back of this notepad. I also need brushes, water and pen. Already here it became very obvious that I have no idea what I'm doing actually. To force a start, I decided to just put down a base coat of some sort of antique white. While the base did get me going, you can clearly tell that I still struggle a bit to cover the page with semi-random patches of color. The emerging plan here was to do a bit like in my video about the M90 camouflage. Produce a random seed and then bring it together to a coherent random pattern by connecting the dots. Someone professional would probably laugh at the poor technique, but it was pretty fun. I just stabbed and did whatever I felt like. You can probably tell that I stole paint from my kids and they messed them up quite a bit. But it doesn't really matter. I'm on a mission to paint a ruined city. Messed up colors should just be an asset. I then went in with a finer brush to tie things together. And make a few semi-planned features, like the house in the middle. Then I just went over the entire thing with a pen, making features of anything that looked a bit coherent. This was fun, but now the kids had gathered around, asking for Pokemon printouts, bombarding me with questions like, "Why do you draw? Is it supposed to be scary? When will it be done?" Together with the pen clogging, the continued work became impossible, and I had to stop. But the base was done, and I later found a pen that did not clog, so I just pitched in a few lines every now and then throughout the day, and soon it was done. In terms of being my first ever post-middle school landscape, it is actually not too bad. But it's not really grimdark. Luckily, at the same point, someone was posting truly awesome grimdark pictures in a Mordheim Discord server. Turns out it was Dark Ages Workshop from Grimdark Compendium, and that is a very good reference to what Grimdark is all about. So I did some more technical investigations, comparing his picture of Otto from his mercenaries to my miniature, and this Mordheim landscape to my own. Starting with my background, it is very apparent that I played around too much with the midtones. As it was equally apparent that the ink unfortunately was not really water resistant, I had to try to simply fix it in GIMP. I flattened the curve and darkened the midtones. I mean, it's still not award-winning, but sure it's closer to grimdark. I believe that at some point in the future I will try this again, but for this time this will have to do. Doing the same thing with the miniatures, they are much closer, with both having a bell curve heavily skewed to the lower numbers. But his is using the entire scale and is leaning even more to the left. In plain speak, this means that he mainly have almost black colors, but in diminishing amounts also use colors all the way to pure white. It rhymes well with the observation that my miniature does not come across as black, even though she's wearing mainly black. Because black is never just black. To make sense of it, it needs to be something to produce the contour. 52 Miniatures did an excellent video about this, so I will not take any deep dive here. While by my standards this is a good paint job, I will never evolve if I don't try to push beyond this middle of the road scheme, where apparently I end up even if I try to do something else. I need more black and I need more Zorn. The plan is rather simple. Add some red around the eyes to reduce the prettiness. Make the skin more pale. There are no witches looking this healthy. The white apron should go more towards the stained yellow to look less fresh and more battle-worn. The red hair should be more saturated. And of course, the dark should become more dark. I do hope that she will look better than this though. Who knows? Let's go. I started out very confident because in my local art store I finally found these. Oxide red and yellow oils. I did a video a while ago about how I started to use a very limited number of colors. That has not changed, but the oxides that I just tried for skin tones has really gotten to me. I find myself grabbing these over and over again. They've been hard to find as oils, but now when I have them, nothing can stop me. It should perhaps be noted that, except for the red eyes, I never used any washes here. I prefer to use the strength of the oil colors and cover the entire area with a thin layer and then smudge and remove until happy. Is it the most efficient method? Probably not. Does it give the best results? Well, that is likely more dependent on who wields the brush actually. Is it fun to do? Yes. Happily playing along with these set of goals in mind, I came up with this, which I'm actually rather proud of. somewhere along the line I apparently also decided to do my first ever OSL. It is not a masterclass, but it turned out okay, and I think it helps to bring in some color there. And when it comes to the histograms, well, screw the histograms. The main goal was to paint, and so I did. In the end, I even kind of got where I wanted. There's no clear definition of what makes a miniature Grimdark, but I would say that she is now definitely one step closer. And perhaps even more important, I now feel eager to take on a handful of dwarves, which I better get on with. So thank you for watching, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy your hobby.